Hey, morning. Here we are. It's another Monday morning, actually the first one in September. So welcome along to a property finance Q&A. Sun's a bit bright out there this morning. Let me pull that over there a bit. That's better. So good morning. If you've tagged onto one of these live streams before, you'll know that I come on here on Monday morning at 8:30 every Monday morning, apart from sort of bank holidays and my personal holidays. But yeah. And what do we do here? Well, pretty simple, really. You ask questions on property finance and I answer them. And I hang around here for about an hour, a half hour or so, hang around for about a half hour or so, answering questions that people want to post. And I stream this through YouTube, LinkedIn. So hi if you're watching from YouTube or LinkedIn, and various Facebook groups and pages. So hi if you're watching from there. And also hi if you're not watching this live, but you're watching the replay, because a lot of people tend to be working or, I don't know, dropping the kids off to school at 8:30 on a Monday morning, so they don't catch it live. They catch it at a later date on the replay. Or maybe they can't stay for all of it, or maybe they miss the beginning, and whichever. So if you're watching the replay, just give us a hashtag replay. A few people popping on with their hellos there, and Chris and Amanda, hi, hello to you. Good to see you there. So I'm all here ready with my cup of tea, but I'm relying on you to ask a question or multiple questions. So what is it you want to know? What is it about property finance generally that you would like a question on? And Tony's popped up here with a question. Now, I always pop the question on screen because, I mean, I will read the question out, but I think it's better if you can actually see the question or as well as me read it out, because sometimes it's easier to read it than listen to what I'm saying. So actually, Tony's piled in with about 3 parts to his question there. I think you're limited on how many characters, a bit like Twitter, really. Okay, so let's a few questions coming in now. So great, let's kick off. Let's get started. So here we are, Tony. Tony's bought a property for 460, and you're planning to renovate it and extend it myself over the next 2 years while you live in there. Okay, yep, done similar to that myself actually in the past. Bought a property in rundown condition, lived in it while I refurbed it. Yeah, so know exactly what your idea is there. Research suggests the end value should be around 700. Okay. Combined income is approximately, with yourself and your wife, approximately 90, both full-time employed. So if I want to keep mortgage as residential property in any years, any chance of that? Right, well, I don't know how much. So is 90K going to get you close to a 700 mortgage? No, it's not. I don't know what, you say you just bought a property for 460. Have you bought that cash? Or is there a mortgage on it now? So that would be the next thing to ask. And of course your age is, now main residence mortgages, let's do, you've got another bit on there, but I'm going to talk about that. Actually, let's bring up this third one here. Right, I could take out mortgage of more than 5 times your income. I want to buy another property in 2 years, so I need to pull out as much deposit from remortgage in order to do that. Okay, right, you come in. Right, so you've already got a 90% mortgage on it, and you're looking to see, can you take more than that? So can you take a 5 times mortgage? Well, let's drill down, Tony, and look a bit about how main residence mortgages are underwritten and granted. And 5 times income, or in fact any multiple of your income, is a significant oversimplification of the underwriting process, and I'll explain why. So now, and we'll use, I mean, you've given us your income there, so we'll use this. Okay, 90k joint income. Okay, now it used to be, several years ago, it used to be just an income multiple. So 5 times 90, we use this, gives you 450. Now, the shortcoming in that is that just because someone's got an income of 90 doesn't mean that they've got the same outgoings as everyone else on 90k. So lenders realize that, you know, there could be a couple on 90k that are just the two of them, or there could be a couple on 90k that have got 4 or 5 children. So even though their income was the same, they would have substantially less residual income to afford a mortgage. So it's not just simply income, although that's the starting point, and 5 times is pushing it, to be honest. There's relatively few lenders, if any, that would go as far as 5 times. You might get close to it, high 4s, but once they look at the multiple of income, now they take off, or sometimes they do it before the multiple of income. Now they take off your commitments. So 90k, great, but what loans have you got? What credit cards have you got? I'm not asking you to put that information into the chat, okay, if you want to, but I'm not. It's not relevant at the moment to do that. But I'm pointing out to you the way it's worked out. So they'll take your 90k. They'll then say, right, what loans, credit cards, and commitments have you got that have got to come off that? So they'll take those. They'll take that off your 90k. Then they'll say, well, what are your lifestyle expenses? And they'll base that on some formulae that they've got that says, well, if you're this, then you're going to be spending, you know, X amount a month. Now, dependents are a big thing on that, and they can chunk down, you know, quite significant sums off that 90k. So you might end up with, well, you'll certainly end up with less than 90k income. To put a multiple on. So once they've done that, then say, well, okay, interest rates are really, really low now. For the lifetime of the mortgage, we can't guarantee they're going to be that low. So we've got to factor in some interest rate rises and how that would affect your ability to pay them based on your income, less those expenses that I talked about. And once you've got that, then you're coming out with a figure. Now, of course, age plays a factor as well in there, because, you know, if you can't have a 25-year term, if that takes you over the standard retirement age, then not all lenders are happy to give you a 25-year term. And certainly at high loan to value, you're not going to get an interest-only mortgage. You're going to be limited to having a repayment mortgage. So repayment mortgage gets exponentially more expensive the less years you're able to have it. So you can see there's a hell of a lot of different factors there, Tony, that are determining in where you can borrow money. But based on what you've said to me, on a 700,000 value, you're gonna. My guess is you're gonna struggle to get much more than 50% loan to value. Now, that's going to be prohibitive, because you want to pull out as much as possible to buy another property, presumably for investment purposes, if you want to carry on living in this. So if you want to pick up with me personally, let me give you a couple of ways to do that, and we can, you know, there's only so much we can talk about in a public forum. You might want to drill down more privately. Now, I'll give you a link to my Facebook page, Kevin Wright, Property Finance Expert, we'll pop that in there. That's one way to contact me, Tony. Or also, you can, you're coming through YouTube, so go to the home page, go up to the top, scroll along the top, and you'll see an About tab there. Click on the About tab, and you'll get my contact details there. So if you want to drill down in more detail, happy to do that. But basis is, I think you're going to have an issue with trying to get a high loan to value. Certainly, you're not going. You've got 90% now. I can't see you're going to get much more than 50, maybe 60% at the outside. Now, that may significantly curtail your future property buying ambitions, and you'd need to have a rethink of how you want to pull equity out. So it could be that you don't stay there after a couple of years, you sell it and do something different. But happy to chat down further with you on that. Okay, I'm going to scroll right way back up now to make sure that I don't miss any. A few more good mornings. Michael says, keep up the good work. Well, certainly aim to. Certainly aim to. Mortgages on non-standard construction weights PRC in particular. Okay, so you can see this says Facebook user. So what that means is that, I mean, I go through a streaming facility called StreamYard, and it pops it out into, you know, different ways, different things, Facebook, YouTube, all that type of thing. But you're coming through Facebook, you have to give your permission to Facebook to be able to put your name. And if you don't, it just comes up as a Facebook user. And then I just drill down once this is finished during the day, and I'll find out actually who it was. So mortgages on non-standard construction. So non-standard construction is a multifaceted thing. There are numerous different types of non-standard construction. The main ones are concrete, timber framed, steel framed, and the more modern modular build things, of which there's several different types from there. So the thing you can say on all of them is that there's limited mortgage availability, and depending on the type of non-standard construction, it's even more limited. Now, even just drilling down into one type, concrete, there are many different types of concrete construction, and pretty much every builder had their own type. So in other words, if it's poured concrete, in other words, that it's the walls are shuttered up and concrete's poured in, as opposed to being manufactured off site in blocks and then just assembled, then each mix is different and is better or worse. Now, mortgage lenders over the last 40, 50 years have built up an extensive catalogue of the problems with different types of non-standard construction. So the fact you've done well to say it's weights in PRC, okay, you've identified which construction it is. Now, they're going to be highly restricted mortgageability on something like that. And with those things, these tend to be ex-local authority. So the reality is they were never built for the private sector. They were never built for people to get a mortgage on them. So there was never a great onus on the build quality. It was all about cost-effective building. How many houses could the council knock up on a given estate at the minimum cost? So these are always going to be a challenge because of the limitations of the construction. Now, why would you be interested? I'll tell you why, if you're like pretty much everyone else I see, is that these non-standard construction and ex-council concrete properties are available at a significant discount to a traditionally built property in a different part of town. Often up to a third less to buy. Now, they rent out for about the same. So, of course, the yield looks very attractive, but you've got to balance off of that the fact that your mortgage costs are going to be more, if indeed they're mortgageable at all. And another factor is that often these are not detached houses, they're terraced or semis. And if they're semis, even if you've done whatever it is to make yours mortgageable, if next door hasn't done the same, yours still won't be mortgageable. So it's a bit of a wild goose chase, these non-standard constructions, and weights are one of probably the worst ones, really, because you're attracted by the yield, but the other factor at the back end of this is at some point, and it could be 10 years or 20 years time, you're going to want to sell it in all likelihood. Now, you're going to have at least as much, if not more, trouble trying to get for your buyer to try and get a mortgage, because these now are older, so their longevity wasn't great in the first place, and now you've added another 10 or 20 years to that lifetime or that life cycle, so they're in even worse condition in most cases than they are now. So pretty much it's these are an issue to avoid. Certainly something like weights would be. You can find better deals elsewhere, to be honest. Okay, so here's another Facebook user. Regulated tenancies in a multi-unit block. How does this affect financing? Massively. It means insofar as you ain't got a cat and nails chance of getting a mortgage on that. No mortgage lender will lend on a regulated tenancy. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, what the hell is a regulated tenancy? It's the predecessor of ASTs, assured short hold tenancies. Now, they started early in 1989, but before they existed, before they came on the statute book, there was the previous type of tenancy agreement between landlord and tenant was a regulated tenancy. Now, as far as lenders are concerned, there's a whole world of difference, because with an AST, under normal circumstances, the lender or the owner, the landlord, has the right to give a 2-month notice to quit to the tenant. It's a bit longer at the moment because the government have brought some extra COVID regulations in that makes it longer. But the AST contract says that the tenant can be given 2 months notice to quit. Now, mortgage lenders like that because that gives them security. If you fail to pay your mortgage consistently and they have to repossess you, as they repossess you, they can issue the eviction notice to your tenant. You got 2 months to quit, away you go. So within a relatively short space of time, they can put it on the market to sell with vacant possession to get their capital back that they lent you. Now, all well and good. Now, regulated tenancies, completely different situation, because a regulated tenancy, the two big things on that lenders don't like is, one is it's a lifetime's right to occupy that property. So if they have to repossess you, they can't sell it with vacant possession, and they have to just let the tenant carry on live there and try and sell it with the tenant in. Now, the simple answer is they're not going to do that. Not going to do it. So why take on a potential problem? They don't want to. They've never wanted to. So, and the other aspect, I said there's two aspects. The second aspect is the rent is controlled. So as a landlord of a regulated tenant, you can't just decide to put the rent up. You have to apply once every 2 years to a rent tribunal for permission to put the rent up. And of course, the tenant will put a submission in there to say why they can't afford you to put the rent up. So they're on restricted rental incomes, and after just over 30 years, they're going to be much less than the going market rate. So these, so much so that these are so undesirable that they rarely sell for more than 50% of the true market value without a tenant. So this is cash buyer, real cash buyer only stuff. So unless you can buy it cash, it ain't a deal. So, yep, you can't finance it. But there we are. Now you know. Good. Another Facebook user here. Can you explain how to buy and refinance, please, just using mortgages? Very limited, really. If you're going to buy and refinance, you've got to be doing something to want to refinance. So you've got to be adding some value. Otherwise, what's the point of refinancing? Now, the first thing to see is you can't buy something that's too tatty, because mortgages are basically ready to rent propositions. So mortgage lenders predominantly like the property to be day one rentable. In other words, it doesn't need any work doing to it. There's a small tolerance to properties that need a marginal amount of work. So maybe you get a new kitchen, new bathroom, and redecorate. Possibly, yeah, it might be that. In some lenders, that would be too much as well. They wouldn't lend on if it needed that much work. But it needs to be done within 4 weeks. Done and tenanted within 4 weeks to be considered mortgageable. So your opportunities to buy properties to add value to are limited from that point. If you want to refinance it with just a mortgage, then you can do what's called a further advance. So you stick with the same lender. You don't redeem it and go with a different lender. You stick with the same lender. You wait 6 months because they want to see you make 6 monthly payments on time. And then you can apply for a further advance based on the value you've added. That is not uniformly successful. Lenders have got an inbuilt reluctance to let you pull your deposit money out. So you've got to battle against that. But if you want to do it that way, that's the way to do it. Use a further advance. Thanks for your question. Here we are, racking up a few questions now. Still a few more coming along. Good, thanks for that. John Marshall, been doing BRR for a few years now. Great. My broker has told me that my portfolio is geared at around 65% and that I may struggle to obtain buy-to-let mortgages. Got a second bit in future. Can you have your opinion on this? I don't see why you'd struggle. What you'd struggle with is getting 75, 80 or 85% loan to value on your future properties, because you're a portfolio landlord. You've now got, I'm guessing you've got more than 4 investment properties, so that makes you a portfolio landlord, and that means that you've got more restrictions on you whenever you apply for a mortgage. So for beginners and smaller landlords, then a mortgage application is taken in isolation. For a portfolio landlord, which would be like yourself, then it's taken not in isolation, but holistically around your whole portfolio. So they'd be wanting to see a business plan, cash flow forecast, and they'd want to keep your portfolio at around about the 65%. So I don't think you struggle to get buy-to-let mortgages, but I do think you'd struggle to get them at more than 65%. So it means that any future one you buy, you're going to have to leave 35% equity in there. If that's different to what you've been told, then great. Maybe you need a new broker, and if you do, we'd be very happy to help you. So if you want to contact me, you've got my put my link in there, the Kim and Wright Property Finance Expert. So just get in touch to them. Be happy to help. Actually, before we crack on to another one, let me tell you about it. No, let's get John off of there. We don't want him on there. Now we've answered the question. Let me tell you about a Facebook group that I've got. You might be watching it from the Facebook group, but if you're not, maybe you don't know, that my Facebook group exists. Well, it's called Recycle Cash for Property Investors, and it's all about people that want to buy a property. Do the BRR is another way. Recycle Cash, BRR, it's all the same thing, really, isn't it? It's different ways to describe the same thing. So if you're not a member in there, I'm going to put the link in here. Come along and join us. We'd be very happy to see you there. There we are. Great. So crack on with the questions. We've done John's. Next one, I'm very keen not to miss one and scroll down too far. So Peter, good to see you back again. Hope I'm well. I am, actually. Yeah, I'm very well. Now, you've got a friend with bad credit. One CCJ, not good, county court judgment. So that means that you had a credit, that your friend had a credit agreement. For some reason, he didn't keep to it, and they took him to court to register the debt. Not good. On top of that, vehicle hire purchase default. So again, bought a car, didn't keep up the payments, hasn't got as far as a CCJ yet, but it could end up there. But he's so the lender has sent him a default notice. If it's vehicle hire purchase, they probably snatch the car back as well. So and some missed payments. Presumably that's on other stuff. And do not have his home yet and cannot give a personal guarantee. Yeah. As far as getting a mortgage, Peter, pretty much stuffed, isn't he? Because, you know, he's just shown he's a thoroughly bad payer. And now, if you're looking at it from a mortgage lender, they're going to say, well, the chances of what's going to happen if we're given a mortgage? He ain't going to pay us. Or he's going to pay us when he feels like it. So let's not do that then. So I don't know if there's a further question in there, but if you're asking if he can get a mortgage, no. You know, no sensible lender is going to lend to someone that's got a history of not keeping up the agreements, the credit agreements they take out. So he's just a, you know, from a lender's point of view, he's a problem waiting to happen. So I don't know if that is your question, but yeah, there we are. Let's see what we got. Let's take Peter's one down there. Okay, so it's Shania. Okay, yeah. Hi, Shania. Don't know which. I've had about 3 Facebook users, so you're one of them. I don't know which question that was yours, but I'll pick up with you later. Shania's well known to me. She's done my advanced level training, Ninja Investor Program. Good. So, David, there we are. Good to see you. You own a house outright? Great. Which I'm almost done refurbing. I'd like to mortgage it next. Okay. My credit score has gone down. Is this something the lender would look at, and you bought it under a limited company? Well, they would look at it, certainly. But okay, so here's what you need to know about credit scores. The number that you see is a bit of retail fluff, you know. So your credit score of 993 or 681 or whatever it is a bit of retail fluff. Lenders aren't really concerned about that. What they're concerned about is drilling down behind that to what you actually do with the credit facilities you have. Now, they're drilling down, like we looked at the previous one, saying, oh, you've had a county court judgment. That means you don't pay your bills and someone's had to take you to court. Oh, you've defaulted on a loan. Oh, you've missed payments. Now, so if none of those things apply to you, David, but your credit score has dropped a bit, it's unlikely to be an issue. Buying it under limited company, that's okay. So there are masses and masses of limited company mortgage products around now, and we'd be very happy to act as your broker to get a mortgage on it for you now. Now you don't say whether it's an investment property or it's your main residence. Either way, we'd be happy to get you a mortgage. So as I said to the earlier person, either contact me on Facebook using the link I gave you there on my property finance expert page, or just as you're coming through YouTube, go to the home page, find the About tab, click on there and get in touch. Be happy to help you. JC, back with another question. Regular visitor, good to see you, JC, there you go. If you complete a refurb 8 weeks after buying a property on a 12-month bridge, would you wait 6 months before financing? And would you rent whilst waiting? Okay, so a few questions there. So let's and there's what's the 2.2, or would you refinance immediately? Okay, good question, JC. So let's look at the rent bit. You could rent it, but you'd need to ask the bridger's permission first. And if if that's what you intend to do at the start, you make that part of your application process. You disclose that information when you're applying for the bridging loan, because it may influence the lender. There are some bridgers that don't like you to do that. So you'd need to get the bridger permission to do that. If they give you permission, fine, yes, you can do that. Now, whether you wait or for 6 months or you don't, well, it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't wait 6 months, you're reducing your bridging costs, because you're reducing the months you're on a bridging loan. But if you also, the other side of that is, if you don't wait 6 months, you've got less choice of lenders, because some lenders make you wait 6 months, and the lenders that don't make you wait 6 months will almost certainly charge you a higher rate. So your ongoing mortgage costs are going to be higher if you don't wait 6 months. So it's a question of balancing out the two. And what we would do as brokers, JC, is we give you both options. If you came to us after 8 weeks and says, what's the best mortgage we can get based on the uplifted value, we tell you. We do the research and say, here's the best deal for you right now. And if you said, how much better would it be if I waited 6 months? We'd do the research, come back to you and says, if you waited 6 months, here's what you can get. So what you do is, invariably, you balance off, well, how much a month am I going to save ongoing by having a cheaper mortgage a month, and total that up as against how much bridging extra am I going to pay if I wait the 6 months and then do a mortgage application. So you'd have to make the calculation. You know, this is something we do for people. So if you want us to do that for you, JC, I'm very happy to do that. There we are. I'm scrolling down because I don't want to miss any things now. Oh, and we just clicked over the 9 o'clock, so I've done my half an hour, but there's still some more questions there. So I'll carry on, because I always carry on. The thing is, I always carry on until I've answered every question. But hey, I'm just about to start my autumn Buy-Refurb-Refinance Summit meetings. Now, these are in-person meetings, and I'm in Leeds this Saturday, 11th of September, and then following on, I've got Bristol on the 17th, London on the 18th, and then Birmingham on the 3rd of October. So what goes on at a Buy-Refurb-Refinance Summit? Well, the clue's in the title, really. It's all about educating people on how to efficiently implement a Buy-Refurb-Refinance strategy. In other words, how to buy the right property at the right price from the right seller, how to get it refurbed, and most importantly, how to refinance it, and how to refinance it at the optimum uplifted value. I have a couple of extra speakers on these events, and this Saturday we got in Leeds, we got Rob McFun, who's going to talk about the realities of being an HMO landlord. Warts and all, so pros and cons. He's going to be talking about you know, what life is like actually as an HMO landlord. I think that's going to be useful for a number of people, and I've got some other speakers lined up. So we're going to be talking about tax and planning and social housing and all of that sort of stuff. So there's going to be additional stuff. So hey, if you want to jump on one of those things, let me put the link in here. BRRsummit.com. Jump on there. Listen, it's £47 plus VAT for the day, so it's not going to skin you, is it? And you actually get some lunch there, and I pay for your parking. So you know, you can't mind that, can you? Really? But yeah, if one of those dates works for you and locations work for you, I'd love to meet you in person. Come up and say hello. Okay. Where we are, here we are. Facebook user says, can I get a mortgage for a house which I own outright under a limited company if I have poor credit? Well, you can't get a main residence mortgage because you can't live in a house that your limited company owns. So if you're going to live in it, you don't say whether it's living in it or not. But if it's a rental property, then that's okay. You can get a limited company mortgage for a property you're going to rent out. Now, if you've got poor credit, well, we had something on poor credit. If you've got poor credit like the other guy with county court judgments, defaults, missed payments, the answer is probably not. But poor credit is a quite wide ranging description, isn't it? So it's the question is, what have you failed to keep up your payments on? And the more comprehensive your failures, the less likely you're going to get a mortgage. So, I mean, let me give you an instance. For some of the mainstream, sorry about that. For some of the mainstream buy-to-let lenders, one missed payment on any credit agreement in the last 3 years and you're out. So some of the mainstream lenders are very intolerant of credit misdemeanors, but not all are. So if it's not quite as severe as the previous one we looked at, then possibly we can. Happy to help you with that, and we'll drill down. So let's get in touch. I'll come and dig out who you are, and we'll see if we can help you on that. Matthew, there we are. You're a sole trader and wondered if it would be a good time to incorporate your properties due to Section 24. Okay. So there's no easy answer to that, Matthew, but let me give you some of the criteria here. Okay, so first of all, what's Section 24? You probably know it, but not everyone watching might know that. So Section 24 is a bit of legislation that came into effect in 2016 that means that mortgage interest payments cannot be claimed as a business expense for properties, investment properties owned in a personal name. So that means that effectively you're taxed on the gross rental turnover, not the net rental turnover. And that can be a disadvantage. It's a bigger disadvantage if you happen to be a higher rate taxpayer, Matthew. Don't expect you to divulge that in this forum, but it's going to be Section 24 is going to be most punitive to you in terms of the tax you would pay on your rental profits from your portfolio if you're a higher rate taxpayer. If you're not a higher rate taxpayer, the effect is mitigated to a degree. Now, if you incorporated your properties, you've got to balance off the fact that you would have so you don't just incorporate them, you have to sell them to your limited company, and that attracts capital gains tax. So it attracts stamp duty. There is also a capital gains tax issue that you may wish to look at, because you've got to factor that in. So that could that could wipe out any potential tax savings you're going to make by being able to claim your mortgage interest relief through a limited company for years to come. Now, the only person that can really help you with this, Matthew, is a qualified accountant. because they would look at your personal situation and look at your tax situation and say whether you're got how much you're gonna how detrimental is Section 24 and the loss of the ability to claim mortgage interest relief at a on your properties compared to the costs of switching to limited company. Is simple. Sorry, I can't give you a simple answer because there isn't one. It's down to your personal situation. Now, talking about the BRR summits, you were very interested in coming to, I think, the Bristol one, Matthew. So I haven't seen your book yet, but I think it was a Bristol. I might be wrong there. But be great to see you booking for there. Bristol's the 17th of September. Love to see you there. John says you'll do that. Great. Okay, John. Look forward to drilling down a bit deeper with you. Sam says struggling to get mortgages for properties in Scotland of a value under 75,000. Well, that depends on. This links quite nicely with Matthew's question because that depends. Are you buying them in your personal name, or are you buying them in a limited company? If you're buying them in a limited company, you will absolutely struggle. Because in fact, almost all mortgage lenders have a minimum property value of 75,000 for a limited company. If you're buying in your personal name, you're going to have more leeway because a lot of them will go down as far as 50. Don't know which you're trying to do, but if you're struggling, if it is a limited company and you're looking to buy properties less than 50, you might want to either buy properties more than 75,000 to remain in a limited company. If you want to persist in buying properties less than 75,000, then you might need to reconsider and put them in your personal name because you'll have more opportunities under 75k in your personal name than you will in a limited company. Don't know which is the two, but we'll be happy to drill down and have a look at that for you, Sam. You got the ways to contact me. Right, still a few questions coming in there, so we'll keep going. Sam's popped up. Right, here we are. So have a small portfolio and my own house, which I bought a couple of years ago with help to buy. Okay. The value of the area has rocketed. Wow. Can I remortgage and pull out some money to inject it in my SPV to increase my portfolio? What is the sort of the help to buy? Right, so help to buy is very restrictive in that you want to check your conditions on there. But my understanding is you can pull some money out, but you must use that money to first repay the help to buy loan before you can invest it in more properties. Again, happy to look at that with you in more detail, Sam. JC, there we are. Following on for your question, would waiting or not waiting affect the uplift value? No, it wouldn't, because a property doesn't magically become more valuable 6 months after you bought it. So if you've refurbed it and created value, then that is the value. Now, if you refinance within 6 months, there's much smaller choice of lenders that would refinance based on the open market value. So it wouldn't affect the uplift value, but it would affect the amount of lenders prepared to lend at the uplift value, if that helps, JC. Again, always happy to help you with that. What are the dates and venues again? Okay, I'll read that out, but if you just go to the brrsummit.com link that I put on there, then you'll see that all the dates and venues are listed there. But I'll repeat them again, and thanks for your interest, by the way. Hope to see you there. It's this Saturday, 11th of September in Leeds. The following Friday, 17th of September in Bristol. The day after, 18th of September in London. And the Sunday, the 3rd of October in Birmingham. So there we are. Thanks for your interest. But I say all the dates and locations are on the link brrsummit.com. You can have a look on there. There's some more information about the events as well on there. So here we are. We've got Saatchi Business Sales. Great. Okay. You found a 440k hotel for sale. Negotiated a 350 buy price. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I want to buy with 65% bridging, and the remaining over 5 years. Seller agreed, but the bridging hasn't. Well, simple reason is bridgers don't give you a five-year loan. So now you've got some more stuff going in here. Let's see. Hotel turns over 167 a year, 90k profit, so it's a bargain. The reason they said they can't is because I'm putting nothing in the deal, as a 35% is not paid up front to the seller. Yeah. So you're going to need to be a lot more creative on this. There is a way to do it. It's a bit too complicated to describe here, but essentially it involves setting up a limited company and making yourself and the current owner shareholders of the limited company. And on the day you complete, that 35% deposit is actually switched into the limited company. So it's reflected in the shares that the current owner owns in the limited company. So that way it's treated as a cash deposit. So there is a way to do it. It's complex, but you're still not going to get a bridger to lend you over a 5-year term. Now, but you could get a commercial mortgage to do that. So, and maybe you don't need bridging at all. So if you want to connect with me in the 2 ways that I've given, either on Facebook through my Kevin Wright Property Finance Expert page, or the as you come through YouTube, just go up to the homepage, find the About tab at the top, click on there. I'll work with you on that, and we'll look at how to fund that for you. Maybe you're just talking to the wrong bridger. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of bridgers. You know, maybe we can find a different bridger that be more accommodating. But I would question if you set it up the way that I'm going to work with you to show you how to set it up, you may even not need bridging. If you've got so what have you got? 355 times 65%, 355 times 65%. Okay, so you're looking for 230 borrowing. So it may be possible we can get a commercial mortgage to lend you 230. You might not even need bridging, and that'll save you a packet. So there we are. But thanks for your questions. We've got some more stuff here. Okay. What's my options? Investor will snap my hand for this. Dealerless entry, owners are retiring. Yeah, hotel owners usually are retiring. So are you looking to do this yourself? Are you looking to buy this, or you're just going to source this on? Okay, we've got a bit more here. I would have refinanced after 12 months and had a small mortgage profit I would have paid it. Okay, right. So it looks like you're going to do it. Yeah, look, get in touch with me. I can help you structure this. And we'll either get it on bridging with a bridger that will lend, or we'll get it straight on a commercial mortgage for you. So I say I'm not convinced you need bridging on this. Now I'm a big fan and a big promoter of bridging finance. But hey, only when you need to use it. You don't incur the cost of bridging unless it's absolutely necessary. And I think there might be a way around this. So get in touch with me. I'm assuming you're Mr. Saatchi, or you could be Mrs. Saatchi. But get in touch. I think I can help you with this. In fact, I know I can. Great. Okay. Yes, it was Birmingham. Yes, because you need, I remember, Matthew, because it needs to be a Sunday. You can't make Saturdays, can you? Birmingham Thursday, 3rd of October. Brilliant. Look forward to seeing you there. Sam, yeah, limited company. Yeah, that's your problem, fella. You're trying to burn the candle at both ends. You want cheap properties, but you want the advantages, whatever they may be for you. And I presume you've worked them out. You're not just doing a knee jerk, I'm going to buy in a limited company because I can claim the tax relief, when your circumstances may be that it's no real advantage if you're doing that. So you've got to have a rethink. You're not going to get any type of competitive mortgage on a limited company. And listen, it's not just Scotland. You'd have exactly the same restrictions if you were in England or Wales. So you've got to rethink your strategy. You've got to go for more expensive properties or buy it in your personal name, Sam. There you go. Do you know yet who your London guest speaker is, just out of interest? Peter and I will probably attend. Let me have a look. I think I might have that. Let's have a look. London. Yes, I do. So we've got Martin Rapley doing the before lunch one. He's a project management expert, so he'll be giving a talk on how to effectively keep control of time and budget on your refurb projects. And at 5 o'clock, we've got Tariq Mubarak, who's a solicitor, and he's going to give you some insights into how to get solicitors working in your favour. So he's going to give you some insights into what solicitors are looking for. So there we are. And Tariq's one of the solicitors that we use in the brokerage. So he's a top guy, as indeed is Martin Rapley. So there we are. So if that's interesting enough for Peter and you to attend, please do. I'll check it. I'll check in after which who you are. That's great. Good. So Sarchi's back there again. Really appreciate that advice. Good. Thank you. I'll connect to you ASAP. You're in Essex. Hotels in London. It does sound like a good deal. I agree with you. Sound like a good deal. So let's get to work on it and let's help you make it happen. See you in Leeds. Yep. Look forward to see you there Saturday. Here's Harpreet. Okay, so good to see you again, Harpreet. He's one of my advanced level students. Watched your video yesterday, read 3+ properties. As you know, after your training, this is easily achieved. Yeah, it is. Is it easy to obtain mortgage? Yeah, it's no problem at all. Otherwise, you wouldn't have many volume landlords, would you? If you couldn't get a mortgage for 4 or more properties, once you'd hit 3, you'd have pretty small scale landlords. Yeah, of course, it's always possible to get mortgages when you've got more than 4 properties. They're just underwritten a different way, and you may struggle to get such high loan to values. But of course, if you're buying them, refurbing them, and then refinancing them, that's going to be less of an issue. So yeah, don't be overly stressed on that, Harpreet. You keep growing your portfolio, mate. David Lee, is 50k for personal more on the value or the minimum you can buy? No, it's value. So that's not the minimum mortgage, it's the minimum property value. So property values, almost all lenders, 75k for limited companies, 50k for personal name. Yeah, it's the property value. PP says, thanks for the content. Have you got any tax advisor? Yes, several. So if you want to connect with me, again, you're through YouTube, so just go to the about and tell me which part of the UK you're in, then I'll give you a link to the one that's geographically closest to you. But we've got several property savvy tax advisors. Yeah. In fact, I've got one talking about BRR Summit guest speakers. I've got Mark Barrett, who's going to be speaking at the Bristol BRR Summit in Friday week, 17th of September. So Mark Barrett is one of them, but he's down in the West Country, so Bristol was the best one for him to attend. But you might be at the other end of the country, don't know. Oh, you're Essex, okay. Well, probably get you ones closer than there. So connect up with me, and I'll put you in touch. Good. Okay, so there we are. We seem to be in. We seem to. Oh, we don't. I thought we'd finish. See, this often happens. We get to the end of questions, and I'm just about to wrap up, and then someone comes in with another question, which is good. Okay. So, Alex, good to see you, fella. You just scraped in there. Speaking to someone surrounding the property. I have mentioned in the group previously. Okay, yeah, can't remember what that is. I mean, over 100 groups. But let's pick up with that. So, when bridging a property, how difficult is it to bridge if the house is sold vacant, but there is a part of the associating land with someone residing on the land and eviction proceedings ongoing? Well, it's not about bridging it. It's about being sensible, Alex. Now, why would you take on someone else's problem? So, because if there's an eviction process going on and you buy it, now the owner has very conveniently ducked out of that problem and dumped it on you. So you'd have to question, why would you want to take on that problem when the sensible thing to do is to wait until the eviction proceeding has finished and you can buy the whole land with vacant possession. Now, you'd have to have an absolutely stonkingly big positive reason as to why you would want to take that on, because it makes no sense. You don't take on a problem tenant that could take you, I don't know, could be another year before they get evicted. So I'd have to understand more about why you were even considering that. And again, so would a bridger. So we'd have to understand, why you couldn't do the obvious thing and just wait. Okay, but listen, let's drill down. Happy to work with you on that. So get in touch with me and let's see where we go on that. Good. Okay. Oh, we're back with another one. Thought I was finished. There we are. Guerrilla Investors back. Haven't seen you for a few weeks, so good to see you. Can you split titles when you purchase with a buy-to-let mortgage? Simple answer, no. Because buy-to-let lenders don't lend on multiple self-contained units on a single title. And they don't lend on multiple titles on one mortgage. So either way, you can't use a buy-to-let mortgage. What's the process of splitting titles with mortgages? Is more of a legal question. Well, the legal part is pretty simple. The lending part isn't, because mortgage lenders don't let you do that. So you're not going to be able to buy it on a mortgage and then split the title. So you're going to need to rethink how you buy the property, whether you buy it on bridging and then split the title, or whether you get the seller to split the title before you buy it. But then you've got to get special types of mortgages. They're called MUFB, multiple unit freehold blocks. So there we are. So not a simple solution to what you're trying to do. Okay. So looks, well, it's been a long one today. It's been an hour, so lots of questions. Appreciate the questions. Thanks very much. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Each time I finish, up pops someone else. Following on, some years ago, specialist lenders said that 50k for personal is based on the minimum borrowed value. Well, whatever lender that was, either you misunderstood it, you might not have done, or or whoever was talking to you from the lender misunderstood it, because that, I can tell you, absolutely, that is not the way that it's worked out. Right across the board, lenders work on the minimum property value, not the minimum loan. Oh well. So if that's what you want to know, it's the minimum property. 50k is the property value, not the loan. Now there might be a few lenders that do say 50k is the minimum loan, and yeah, but generally speaking, if you've got you can get a mortgage in your personal name on a 50k minimum value. Good. Okay. So it looks like we're finished. Long session today. I'll be back next Monday, 8:30, with another property finance Q&A. Thanks for everyone for participating today. Thanks for all those that asked questions. I appreciate your input. Thanks for you for watching, and I'll see you next Monday, and we'll see you then. Have a great week. Bye for now.